The instant Brutus barreled through the flimsy HOA fence, his drool-soaked jaws clamping onto my dew-lock 20,000 show sheep, I didn't scream or bolt. I stood rooted, a feed scoop in one hand, my insurance folder in the other, my mind racing to explain to an adjuster how a neighbor's oversized ego had unleashed a livestock bloodbath. 3 days earlier, I'd returned from the county fair, my trailer packed with elite sheep-pampered divas with pedigrees sharper than royal bloodlines. Each was insured for 20 grand, a testament to years of breeding perfection, fueled by premium feed, training, and lavender oil massages for their show-ready wool. My barn gleamed. My pastures were manicured. My ranch a serene empire of wool and prestige. Then came Deborah. Deborah lived 3 houses down, across the HOA-maintained trail, skirting my back fence. Her voice was a grating mix of condescension and charm. Her personality so inflated it needed a warning label. Her dog, Brutus, a hulking German Shepherd mix, was all muscle and no manners, often seen off-leash, trampling gardens, tipping trash cans, and once defiling a jogger stroller. Complaints piled up, HOA warnings, animal control notices. My own pleas, but Deborah brushed them off with a wine glass in hand and her trademark, "He's just spirited." That morning, as I opened the pasture gate, a sickening crunch of wood and wire shattered the calm. Brutus, a furry juggernaut, smashed through Deborah's zip-tied, fencer-promised repair a myth and charged my sheep like a war machine. I watched, heart in my throat, as Brutus tore across the field, barking like a battle horn. My flock scattered. Opal, my 2-time champion ewe, twisted her leg in a desperate pivot. Ember, the youngest lamb, froze and was bowled over. Then Brutus sank his teeth into Gideon, my prized ram, dragging him down like a rag doll. Deborah stood beyond the wreckage, shrieking, "Brutus, stop! He's friendly," as if her words could undo the carnage. I dropped the scoop, vaulted an irrigation ditch, and tackled Brutus off Gideon, my spine protesting with a crack. The dog snarled but relented, prancing off like a victorious gladiator. My sheep were in chaos. Opal limped, Gideon bled, Ember trembled. I checked each, dread pooling, vet bills already ticking my mind. But I had a weapon, my laminated insurance policy, tucked in the barn office. These weren't just sheep. They were covered for third-party attacks, lost earnings, even emotional distress, a lesson learned after a coyote scare years ago. The vet arrived in 20 minutes, treating Opal's sprain, stitching Gideon's wounds, and sedating Ember. His report was damning: canine trauma, lacerations, stress-induced regression. I photographed every injury, footprint, and splintered fence board. Deborah approached, mascara-streaked, wringing her hands, but I waved her off. She tripped every clause in my policy, and I wasn't letting this slide. By sunrise, Deborah was on the HOA forum, spinning herself as the VY Tim. She claimed Brutus was on a peaceful walk when Gideon, a feral ram, broke the fence and attacked. She posted a blurry photo of Gideon mid-sprint, omitting Brutus pinning him. Rumors spread, whispers at the feed store, side eyes at the diner. Her ally, HOA board member Harold, echoed her tale, and a violation notice hit my mailbox, accusing me of harboring aggressive livestock and inadequate fencing. The irony burned me. Fences were steel reinforced. Hers were a duct tape fantasy. I could have focused on the insurance claim, but Deborah's history of lies trampling gardens, slandering teens, bullying neighbors made this personal. She wasn't just after my sheep. She was a serial steamroller. I pulled my security footage, high-def night, VY sound clips from the barn, gate, and fence. They showed Brutus smashing through, Deborah idling until the damage was done, my sheep grazing peacefully before the assault. I backed up the files, emailed my lawyer, and printed timestamp stills. I highlighted HOA rules, Deborah VY, olated leash laws, fence upkeep, and built a binder thick enough to stun an ox. At the HOA meeting, I arrived early, binder in hand, calm as a storm's eye. The clubhouse reeked of air freshener, neighbors faking smiles. Deborah, in a floral blazer, clutched a pink folder, ready to perform. Harold introduced her, and she launched into a tearful speech about trauma and Brutus kibble boycott, calling my sheep a menace. The room bought it until I stood. "Let's see the tape," I said, plugging in my drive. The projector hummed, and the footage played. Brutus rampage, Deborah's inaction, my flock's terror. Gasps erupted. When Gideon fell, a woman whispered, "Jesus." I clicked through vet reports, injury photos, insurance claims, and HOA warnings to Deborah about Brutus. I held up a shot of him breaching her fence weeks earlier. "She knew," I said. "She didn't fix it." Deborah stammered, "That's manipulated," but her face paled. Harold flipped through my binder silent. The HOA president, Clara, a soft-spoken retiree, said, "We'll retract your violation and investigate Deborah's conduct." Deborah stormed out, her heels echoing. Neighbors flooded my inbox with apologies, some dropping off hay, others offering fence help. But Deborah doubled down, plastering flyers on bulletin boards, "Stop dangerous livestock," with a doctored image of Gideon snarling. My insurance adjuster sent her into La $81,750 demand letter vet costs, lost show earnings, damages. She ignored it. I told my lawyer, add defamation. "She's trying to ruin me." He chuckled. "Let's bury her in truth." A news crew arrived, tipped off by the VY-RAL HOA clip. I walked them through the ranch, introduced Opal, and laid out the facts. The segment, Show Sheep Mauled by HOA Dog, aired that night, sparking memes of Gideon as an action hero. Kids biked by, asking about the famous sheep. A bakery sent sheep-themed cupcakes. Deborah's blinds stayed shut, her sprinklers off, Brutus unseen. Then she struck. A 7-foot fence rose on her property, violating HOA height codes, with motion lights aimed at my barn. I emailed Clara with photos. A violation notice followed. I countered with an electrified livestock fence low voltage, coyote proof with warning signs. When Brutus lunged at it, a zap sent him yelping, his walker mortified. Deborah's sheriff complaint fizzled. Deputies saw the signs and left. Court day arrived. I brought my binder, lawyer, and USB drive. Deborah, in a neck brace, clutched forum printouts, claiming my weak fence and hostile sheep provoked Brutus fight or flight. My lawyer played the footage, vet reports, and HOA warnings. A surprise witness, a livestock expert, testified Opal's show career was worth $50,000 alone. The judge, unimpressed by Deborah's tears, said, "It's not just a sheep if it's insured for $20,000. Deborah was liable for $81,000, due in 90 days, or face restitution. I pushed for community SARE VYC on my farm 8 weeks of super VY said labor. The judge agreed. Deborah's face cycled through shock, fury, and defeat, but she couldn't refuse. Her first day, Deborah arrived in yoga gear, clutching an iced latte, late and whining about GPS. I handed her gloves and pointed to a wheelbarrow. She balked, sweating through her sun hat by the second bucket, cursing flies and manure. Opal ignored her. Gideon stared with regal disdain. Ember trailed her, bleeding, making her flinch. By day 3, her white sneakers were gone, her complaints quieter. She trudged through stall cleaning, hay hauling, even sheep brushing, screaming when Gideon snorted at her face. Slowly, she changed airy VYing early, sleeves rolled up. When a hose burst, soaking her, she gritted, "What's next?" A news clip of her shoveling manure, headlined, "HOA Tyrant Pays Price," went VY-RAL. Kids taunted, "Free Deborah." She scowled but kept working. The HOA tightened leash laws, mandated fence checks, and suspended Deborah indefinitely. At week 5, she lingered by the gate, staring at the pasture. "Why do this?" she asked. "They depend on me," I said. "It's honest." She nodded, silent. Next day, she brought apples for the sheep, saying nothing. But the insurance company wasn't done. They sued her to recover the due $81,000. A deputy served her papers mid-shift. She returned red-faced, mute. On her last day, she handed back the gloves and left without a word, her gait heavy. A for sale sign sprouted on her lawn. She moved quietly, destination unknown Florida, maybe or a dog spa in the desert, kids joked. The new owner, a vet, photographed my sheep for her grooming business. At Sheep Appreciation Day, neighbors fed Opal, crowned Gideon, and laughed over his worth your SUV sash. As the sun set, I felt peace not from Deborah's fall, but from defending my legacy. She'd lost her myth. I'd gained a community. And Gideon's bleat, loud and proud, echoed like VY Tory. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.